Good morning, Professor Elliott and my fellow Bethel peers. My name is Kyle Holmes, and I will be discussing integrating technology into the classroom. I know a lot of students on the post have already done some of the do's and don'ts of using technology in the classroom, but I'm going to take it one step further and talk about integration and how we use the journeys into our classroom, some of the successes and failures that we have found when mixing a little social economic, outside school life, gang life, that type of thing mixed into social media and how that can play a part. And how also, too, we have found ways to kind of keep the students in check. And because a lot of times I think that we, using technology for so long, seem to maybe know more than them. But it's oftentimes throughout this school year that they kind of kept me in check and came at me and was like, oh, Mr. Holmes, you didn't know I could do this? Or I'll ask the student, if our district has YouTube blocked, how are you using YouTube right now? And they'll just kind of laugh, and then I'll just feel like an idiot because I'm so far behind. So I think the biggest thing to remember is to always assume that in my situation anyway, the kids are sneaky in the EBD setting, and they will find every which way around to, I want to say just break the rule, but break the rule, and kind of do what they want to do with technology. But the biggest thing is, as long as they understand what digital citizenship is, because so much of our program is therapeutic, that we'd like to take the behaviors that they use inside the class and be able to mold them and turn them into good young gentlemen, and a few young ladies too, sorry, but and also take them and translate that into society. And I think it starts with digital citizenship, because the kids that we have are so much of their life is built around social media, that their communication with their friends, sharing about what's going on in their lives, that type of thing is all done through Twitter and Snapchat and Facebook, etc. But the problem is our kids seem to take it a little bit further. They start to use it as ways of communication for gang talk, drug sales, gun sales, threats, anything negative you can imagine. So I know a lot of people on here did the to-dos and don'ts of regular integrating technology into the classroom, but I'm going to look at it from a little bit different point of view, because there's so many successes of technology, but with our kids, you just have to be so careful that they're not taking that extra step and not only putting themselves in harm's way, but putting other students who don't have really anything to do with the situation in harm's way as well. So the first thing I like to talk about are all the positives that technology can have in the class. Now, journeys, for instance, because of our high percentage of fights and stuff that go on, technology can really be a lifesaver. One of the biggest things is we use iPads that are supplied by Apple. And the first biggest thing is if there's any kind of fight, or if any kid needs to be taken out of the classroom and go to a different setting, he can just kind of take his iPad and go. And that's honestly a huge lifesaver in a way that technology can be used in a positive way, because his needs are getting met while our class is escalating, for example. So he's able, or a group of students is able, to go into another class with a para or TA and still work on their assignment and not be part of the situation that's going on in the classroom. The other big things is how we are teaching our kids. Biggest thing is you need to establish a set of rules. And that's the biggest thing, and you have to stay strict on those rules. So, for example, we let our kids take home iPads if they have good behavior, but a lot of times you kind of have to rethink about, do I really want to let this kid take home a $500 iPad when it could wind up at the local pawn shop? So the biggest thing is sticking by the rules and sticking strict and not leaking. You had a pretty good week, you can take home your iPad. You have to be really firm on it, and I think the kids will appreciate it. The biggest thing with us is we're kind of fortunate, because as much as you think our kids would steal the technology, they seem to really appreciate it, because a lot of them do not have any form of technology at home, maybe just like a TV, but no other way of communication. A lot of times they have the phones, but their phones run out of minutes or that type of thing and can't use it. The biggest thing is to look at more like with the positives technology. Our kids are so subdued around the world of technology, oftentimes they don't know how to learn without it. So it's kind of one of those catch-22s where we like to just kind of meet them in the middle. 3 examples of positive technology that we use. I don't know if you can see this right here, but the biggest one we use in the morning is CNN Student News. And you can just go on CNN.com and load it up. We do this every morning because our kids really don't have like a sense of what's going on in the world. So we like to use this to kind of give them a brief daily information broadcast from CNN for students that kind of gives them a daily dose of what's going on in the world. The second one is Kazoo, Kazoo. And what Kazoo is, it's a website that students can have the iPads and sit in their seats, and then the teacher, the staff member, can use their form of technology, whether it be computer, pull it up on the Promethean board, and the students can connect to it from their iPads. And what it is, it's an interactive test website. And what they can do from that point is they can follow along each question from their iPad, answer the question as the teacher puts it up in the form of a test, but also have the security of not knowing who got it right and not knowing who got it wrong. So the only way that you know you got it right or wrong is through your iPad and the teacher, so nobody else will see what your test score are. So that's been a big, huge positive. And the other one is GarageBand. We have a lot of kids who, yes, aspire to be future Grammy Award-winning rappers. And GarageBand, if you can set away the language and you can set about what they're rapping about, GarageBand can be huge, because at the end of the day, we have a group that's like a music rap group where the kids all come together at the end of the day and rap. But the biggest thing is the positive interactions that come out about that. And some of the don'ts. Let's look at some of the don'ts real quick. Don't ever underestimate that you know more than the kids. And I think that's huge because, for example, I'll pull up here on my phone. If you guys can take a look. So you look at this, BetterNet. There's a little app right there called BetterNet. So St. Paul School District has a district-wide security on all the internets across the district. And we're sitting, and they used to block out ESPN and they used to block out YouTube, etc. But now they finally be allowed to use YouTube because teachers kind of put up a fight against it. But ESPN is still blocked, for example. And all of a sudden, last year, we're sitting in class and all my kids are pulling up YouTube. And I'm kind of like, wait, how is this possible? And if one of the students obviously wanted to be kind of obnoxious and show us that you stupid teachers don't know about this, but it's called BetterNet. And what the kids can do is they can download this application on their iPad or phone called BetterNet, and then all they have to do is, it's a free server connector, so it connects to our server and then literally takes down all the walls of piracy, so they can get on YouTube and stuff like that. So I think that goes back to the establishing the rules and kind of just always watching what they're doing. I think a big thing is too, at the end of the period when they turn back in their iPads, or they go through when they're done in the computer lab, to go through their history as well and just kind of see what they're looking at. Thankfully, all our computers kind of face me, so I can always kind of see what they're on, but also we have a program on my teaching computer that they lets you survey like what the kids are using all at once. And I think the biggest thing also too is to make the kids realize that it's a priority, or not a priority, it's a gift to use it. It's a blessing to use it. It's not something they just get for being a student, And I think when they realize that too, they treat it a lot better. So you have to be very firm and difficult about taking it away. The other big thing is word of mouth. Word of mouth can talk about what's going on with social media in school. Social media is our biggest issue. That's why I'm kind of focusing on it. Another thing is, don't let any kids take any kind of technology into the bathroom. We've had a lot of fights come out of that, and I know like Johnson High School and Harding High School, etc. They've all had a lot of fights because of the iPad situation. They're filming each other in bathrooms and that type of thing, and the videos get released. Also too is, only allow technology when technology is supposed to be allowed. Just because a kid has good behavior, don't necessarily let them use it just because of this and that, because that will also kind of have an uprise from the other students about why that's going on, and can kind of create a jealousy thing and kind of create one of those situations where you have to take the iPads away from everyone, which can kind of be a problem. But when it comes to educational wise, there are so many great applications and so many great programs for our kids to use, and I do work with a few teachers who sometimes aren't necessarily for for using technology in the classroom, and I totally get that because I look at my mom and the struggle she has with text messaging every morning when I try to read them. But I think it's finding the balance is key, and taking the time to teach maybe that teacher about what they could do, because I have really kids that can only math-wise, they have so much irritation during math that any type of one-on-one teaching they get, they feel stupid. Any type of one-on-one showing how to do a problem, they shut down because they don't know it. But then when they get on the iPads and they go on to cool math games or Khan Academy or different ones like those, it's amazing to see how much confidence is built by them doing that. I think technology is great too because I do teach history. Just to have a verbal map right in front of the kids of like what's going on when I talk about the Civil War or I talk about something in the Midwest, for instance, like the iPad finally let some of the kids realize that Chicago is not a state, it is a city, that Illinois is a state. But that verbal or that visual map right in front of them in technology can be really good for them. Other don'ts I would say of technology other than social media. Don't become too reliable on it. This summer I was blessed to teach third grade children with autism at Hamlin Elementary, and one of the coolest things was how much technology can work with those kids, whether it be on a YouTube video of a guy step counting from 10s to 20s to 30s to 40s by 5s, by 3s, by 2s. Or I had two kids that was nonverbal who used the little computers to communicate and help their speech. I mean, seeing that stuff was actually really, really cool. And the little kids are a little bit better, but just how much they do well with technology, even at times where I was like, oh, should I keep showing technology? But every time they bought in, and sometimes I think you just kind of have to run with that as long as you kind of keep that balance. But I have found lots of strengths in math and reading, just like some of the programs that read along with the kids and stuff like that is really, really open up their vocabulary. And also programs don't necessarily tend to make a child feel wrong when they get an answer wrong, that it's more encouraging sometimes than I am, I think, in class. And I hope this is kind of what the video you were looking for. I know it might not have been, but I appreciate you guys listening, and good luck to all you fellow teachers out there in this upcoming school year, and we will talk to you soon. And technology integration class is over with.